Hi, Beatles fans from across the world, record collectors and YouTubers. This is Beatle Dave, your friendly neighbourhood record collector, calling to you from Derbyshire in the UK. I thought today we'd have a deep dive into the John Lennon box set, which was released in 1981, not long after his untimely death. Now, I'm lucky, I've got two copies of this. I've got this one, which is the Japanese pressing, which is virtually mint, which I actually acquired a few years ago. Wasn't cheap, but I thought we'd look at the original UK one. Put that down a little bit. Big glare, isn't it? So today we're going to be looking at this one. Just bear with 1 second. Move this around a little bit. That's a bit better, I think. Yeah, so I've just shown you the Japanese version. This is my original copy from 1981. The box is very, very battered. It is still intact, don't get me wrong, but it is battered. Basically, you get the albums in here from Live Peace in Toronto up to Rock and Roll and Shaved Fish. It was issued by EMI Records stroke Apple in the UK. The Japanese one is on the Apple and the Odeon labels. I think you did get a booklet with this. I know the Japanese one's got a booklet with it, but I don't think this one has. I could be wrong. So it opens up like that. So it is a proper box. It doesn't come off as such. It does open like that. So that never comes off. This bit never comes off. Bear with 1 second. Like I say, so the box has seen better days. The box has seen better days. If I repeat myself, it's because I'm having to do this on my laptop because my phone is being absolutely stupid at the moment. So I hope that you can hear me all right. But I know sometimes if I turn certain ways, you don't hear it. So this is the UK box, which are actually quite hard to come by now, to be honest. I'm just going to put that down there. I'm going to try not to bend. I can help it. So that's famous last words, isn't it? So the first record that we get in the box set is John Lennon, or the Plastic Ono Band, Live Peace in Toronto, 1969, which, as it says, is a live album. I'm just going to put my glasses on. Just excuse me 1 second, folks. So when this album was actually recorded live, John Lennon was officially still a member of the Beatles. Even when it came out, he was still officially a member of the Beatles, although theoretically he had left. So this was a live performance for the Rock and Roll Revival show in Toronto. So if you ever watch the film, there's people like Little Richard and people like that on it, and then John and the Plastic Ono Band come on. So we just play a few rock and roll songs, and some of the songs from the early part of the Beatles' career. But it is a bit of a mix mash sort of thing. So it kicks off with Blue Suede Shoes, which is a great rendition. Then you've got Money. Then you've got Dizzy Miss Lizzie, one of the best songs I think John ever recorded with the Beatles. Then you get Yar Blues. Then you get Cold Turkey, and then you get Give Peace a Chance. That's all on side one. And on side two, this is like the Yoko Ono side, which I bet if any of you have got this, I bet you never ever play the B side or side two, or hardly ever play it. So side two, you get Don't Worry Kyoko, Mum is only looking for her hand in the snow, and John, Let's Hope for Peace. Now the Plastic Ono Band on this occasion, obviously the Plastic Ono Band, the membership apart from John and Yoko always moved around. So on this you get John Lennon guitar and vocals, Yoko Ono vocals, Eric Clapton's on guitar, Klaus Voormann is on bass, and Alan White is on drums. And it was produced by John and Yoko for Bag Productions. and it was released, excuse me, released on Apple Records. And I think there is a version of this where you got a 13-month calendar with it or something. So I will show you the labels and everything because we're having a deep dive, aren't we? So, you know, please bear with me. Like I say, all these are the issues, these LPs. So this is a stereo LP and it's Core 2001. Side 1. Side 2, as you can see, has hardly ever been played. Great record though, in all honesty. Well, side 1 is. Side 2 is for the completists, shall we say. But you know, it is a nice album to have in your John Lennon collection. Like I say, it was the first, you know, proper lineup of the Plastic Ono band, and it was the first ever live gig they did. And I think they rehearsed on the plane going over to Toronto. So the story goes, which is why they did mainly covers. The second one is John's first proper solo album, John Lennon Plastic Ono Band. Fantastic album this is. Again, they only come in these white sleeves, but this does have the original sort of custom Apple label. So the catalogue number, for people that like that sort of thing, is PCS 7124, and it is on just the white Apple label. Side 1. Side 2. These records are virtually mint. The box isn't, but I didn't get this in 1981. I got this about 8 years ago, and I did buy it off a certain internet selling site who I've got to stop mentioning because they never mention me, do they? And when I saw the box, I thought, God, the records are going to be absolutely crap, but they weren't. All the records are virtually mint condition. Hello, Beatle Brad, by the way. I hope you're enjoying this video. Don't know if you've got this box set or not. Like I say, I've got two because I've got this UK one and I've got the Japanese version as well. Yeah, so I've hardly ever played these, which sounds stupid, but I've got all of them in my collection anyway. The next one, this doesn't really need any introduction, does it? This is the classic Imagine LP. Now, which do you prefer better? Do you prefer Imagine or do you prefer John Lennon Plastic Ono Band? Because I think they could have actually been a double LP in one way, and I think song for song they are very sort of like equal. Yeah, okay, this one is a bit more commercial, where that one is a bit more personal, isn't it? You know, very, very iconic album cover nowadays. Again, these are all on Apple. The only thing is you don't get the poster with this, which I think you would have done originally. I'm not 100% sure. I know in the Japanese box set you do get the poster with this one. PAS 1004. Imagine, Crippled Inside, Jealous Guy, It's So Hard, I Don't Want to Be a Soldier. Fantastic songs. Fantastic label as well. Side 2 is probably the better side in some ways. Because you've got Give Me Some Truth, oh my love, for the first time in my life. How Do You Sleep? I love that song. How and Oh Yoko, and it was produced by John Yoko and Phil Spector. Great album. Of course, John's masterpiece, Violin to Imagine. Did come close to matching it on a few of his other albums when he was still alive. I mean, that comes very close to it, doesn't it? This next one doesn't come anywhere near it. This is the one that a lot of Beatles fans or John Lennon fans hate, which I can understand in a lot of ways, although I've always quite liked this album, which is Sometime in New York City. Double album? Or is it a double album? Yes, it's 2 records, but you've got a studio album, and then the second album is made up of like a couple of live concerts, isn't it, sort of thing, or songs from a couple of live concerts. Made to look like a newspaper, probably his most political sort of like album he ever made. Gatefold sleeve, which I'm sure you all know anyway, don't you? But we do get the proper inner sleeves for this. So on the main album, you get side 1 kicks off with that song that we can't really mention nowadays, Woman Is. That was by Lennon and Ono. Then you've got Sisters Oh Sisters, which actually is not a bad song for saying it's by Yoko Ono. I quite like that one. Attic Estate, again by Lennon Ono. Born in a Prison, Ono. Again, it's not that bad a song, to be honest. And then New York City, which was written just by John. Side 2, you've got Sunday Bloody Sunday, Lennon Ono, which was about the troubles going on in Northern Ireland at the time. Then you've got Look of the Irish. Now, I always think that is one of the outstanding tracks on this album. I've watched a few videos by like other Beatles channels, and a lot of people don't like it, but I actually think it is nice, and I think it is meant, the way he sings it is meant sincerely, not too much politically, but you know, you've got to remember he did have Irish ancestry, didn't he, John? Then you've got John Sinclair, which probably isn't one of the strongest songs on this album. Then you've got Angela, which again is a joint composition between Lennon and Ono, or John and Yoko, and that one isn't that bad, to be honest. And then the proper album finishes off with We're All Water, again a Yoko song that is actually okay, which I'm not used to saying that. I think if this would have just been a single album and it would have probably had a slightly different sleeve, I think a lot of fans would like this album a lot more than what they do. As for the second album, Live Jam, John and Yoko Plastic Ono Band with the Mothers of Invention and star-studded cast of thousands, really. Side 1, Cold Turkey and Don't Worry Kyoto. Side 2, Well, Baby Please Don't Go, which is actually quite a good song. Then you got Jam Rag, Scumbag and You. So that Beatle Brad's texting me while I'm doing this. I do know what you mean about Imagine, to be honest. This UK number on this is PCS 7161. 1972, published by the Gramophone Company Limited, published 1972 by Apple Records, an Apple recording, EMI recording. Yeah, Beatle Brad has just put Yeah, I'm not going to say what he's put, but I do sort of like understand what you mean, because I think Imagine was a bit of like a double-edged sword for John, because he'd got to do something, try and increase sales, and things like that. So he made a very commercial album. But then everything after that seemed not so good, sort of thing, in my opinion anyway. And I think he sort of regretted having made such a polished album in one way, if that's the right word. This is record 2. Again, if you've got this, if you've got some time in New York City, how often do you play the second record? Once in a blue moon. Didn't this album in America have that censored, that photo censored? I mean, now that would be censored anyway, but didn't that one there, wasn't that censored in America? I'm sure it was. Next we get one of my favourite John Lennon albums, which is Mind Games. PCS 7165, which again I think is a cracking little album. John getting back to being John. No real political songs on this. John being the rock star again, or the pop star, or whatever you want to call it. And you get the original Inner Sleeve with this. Lovely Apple record. This is really is a lovely Apple, and this is really, really nice heavyweight record. Side 1. Side 2. Some great tracks on here as well. I mean, Mind Games is a brilliant song on its own, and was quite a big hit in its own right, wasn't it? Tight As is okay. Bring on the Lucy, feed the people now. One Day at a Time, classic song. Intuition, Out of the Blue you came to me. Love that song. Only People, You Are Here. I Know, and Meat City. So, you know, I think personally, and like I say, these are only my thoughts, you might not agree with me, I still think that is probably one of the best albums John ever recorded. Again, a lot of people don't like it. They go, oh, it's John just going through the motions, where I think it's John going back to basics after that. After that, I think that's John trying to get back to normality. Yeah, normality, not back to basics. And the next one, we should all know what this one is. Walls and Bridges. This came out in a slightly different form as well later. Excuse me, everybody. Excuse me. I knew that was coming. Because you get like this strange like wraparound sleeve thing, don't you, on this? Which always seems to rip. I mean, it's nice to have, don't get me wrong. Later, it was reissued without that. This picture apparently was drawn by John in 1952 when he was 11 years old. Great photo there. Again, some cracking tracks on here. Catalogue number on this is PCTC 258. See, we got strange catalogue numbers in this 70s. Yeah. Again, Beatle Bad's put for him. Double Fantasy be 1, Walls and Bridges 2, Mind Games 3. I'm not going up to Double Fantasy in this one though, mate. I'm just doing the albums out of this box set, which actually finished with Shaved Fish, because these were like the albums he made before his retirement. So on this one, we've got some cracking songs again. We've got Going Down on Love, Whatever Gets You Through the Night, which he did with Elton John, didn't he? Old Dirt Road, What You Got, Bless You, and Scared. Side 2, Nine Dream, Surprise, Surprise, Sweet Bird of Paradox, Stealing Glass. Who was that about? Beef Jerky, Nobody Loves You When You're Down and Out, and a very, very short rendition of Ya Ya, featuring Julian Lennon, and a very young Julian Lennon at the time, on drums. I always think Stealing Glass is about Alan Klein. Other people have said it's about Paul McCartney, and other people have said it's John talking about himself. So whichever one of those you think is right is up to you, but I still think it's about Alan Klein, because by the time this album came out, it was all coming out about Alan Klein, wasn't it? And I would sort of like not been as honest with John, George, and Mingo as it could have been. You do get the original in the sleeve with this, by the way. Love that photo. That brilliant photo, John. I mean, I've got a book somewhere about Alan Klein. Well, it's not just about Alan Klein. It's about after the Beatles. And yes, Alan Klein did say to John he would make the Beatles a lot of money, which he did. But he also made sure he got a lot of money out of the fees. So although he might have made them a lot of money, he took a lot of money off them. You also get the original booklet with this. Again, fantastic photo of John there. Gives you the words to the songs. And then there is don't know if you got this booklet in America, but that gives you the origins of the surname Lennon. If you haven't got this album, I think it's one that you should have in your collection. Again, that is just my own opinion, but I do think it is a cracking album. I really do think that is a cracking album. I don't really think there's a bad song on this, where on some of his other albums there's really, really good songs and there's not so good songs. I'm not saying there's any bad songs on them, apart from maybe Sometime in New York City. But I love that album as well. I do play that one quite a lot. Yeah, cracking album. Really is a cracking album. Shall we do a John Lennon one together? Stick your tongues out. And we've just been joined by Beatletones Beatles channel. Like I say, if you're new to my channel and you like the Beatles, check out these two channels as well. Check out Beatlebad. He's got some fantastic albums, some memorabilia, a few stories along the way. And my old mate, Beatletones Beatles channel, you've got to check him out because he is absolutely amazing. He's got some really, really nice stories about when he went to see. The one that always sticks in my mind about you, Tone, is when you was on about when you went to see George Harrison, and all you could think about was how many hours it took to fill the Albert Hall. Oh, I mean, I'm lucky. I sort of like did meet George Harrison at one time, but it was very, very, very briefly. I met him in a pub, and he walked past me and just said, "Good evening to everybody." But hey ho, Hello, M. M's on now as well. This box set, M, came out in 1981, but it was the records John's solo career from Live Peace in Toronto from 1969 up to Shaved Fish. So, like I was just trying to say to Beatle Brad, it doesn't include Double Fantasy. It's basically his EMI stroke Apple period. And Tony, Beatle Brad's just said hello. And the next one is Rock and Roll. Again, a lot of people don't like this because they say it's only a covers album, which it is. But it's covers of rock and roll songs, which is what the Beatles started off playing, wasn't it? Covers of rock and roll. And John's voice on some of these is absolutely wonderful. In others, it's not so good. It's had a bit of a weird recording history as well, didn't it, this album? Because it started off in 1973 for about 6 months, and then the remainder of it was done in about 3 weeks or something in 1974. The tapes went missing with full spec and all sorts. Of course, when he started to record this album, John had separated from Yoko, and he was doing his long weekend that lasted about 18 months, didn't it, or something. But having said that, there was some cracking versions of the songs on here. We've got Bebopalula, great song. Stand By Me, which I'm not being able to Benny King, but I think John Lennon's version is better than that one. You might disagree. It was quite a big hit in the UK as well. Then you've got a medley of Rip It Up, Veddy Teddy. Then you've got You Can't Catch Me, which started the lawsuit because the start of that is the same as Come Together, isn't it? Which is how we got the Roots album or whatever it was called, that one that's always bootlegged. Ain't That a Shame? Again, a great rendition. Do You Want to Dance? I do like it, but it's got more of like a reggae feel on there than rock and roll to me. Sweet Little 16 again, great track. Slipping and a sliding, slipping and a sliding, hipping and a hiding. She's got a long way to go. Oh, Peggy Sue. If you knew Peggy Sue, then you'd know why I feel blue without Peggy, my Peggy Sue. Then you've got another medley, Bring It On Home to Me and Send Me Some Lovin'. Boney Maroney. I've got a girl named Boney Maroney. Larry Williams. I mean, John, if you think about it, did quite a few Larry Williams songs, didn't he? Even when he was with the Beatles. Yeah, yeah, which is a full recording, not like a very brief rendition on Walls and Bridges. And then it finishes off with one of my. I love it, but a lot of Beatles fans hate it, and a lot of John Lennon fans hate it, just because they say he was drunk when he recorded it, which he might have been, but I still think it's a brilliant song. Gary, hello, mate. He's put, hi, everyone. I really like the Rock and Roll album. One of his best. Yeah, I agree. I do think it is one of his best albums. Okay, there's no original songs from John on it, but his passion comes through on a lot of the. I think it's the songs that he sung in the early days with the Beatles, or before there were the Beatles, when there was a Quarrymen and things like that, like Bebopalula and Slipping in a Slide and things like that. Stand By Me, I think, was slightly later, wasn't it? I think Stand By Me was very early 60s, wasn't it? I think. Ain't That a Shame? Things like that. Cracking album. And this is probably one of the John Lennon albums I actually play the most. Fantastic album. And then this box set actually finishes off with a compilation album, Shaved Fish, which was actually one of the last LPs released on Apple Records. It's what it says. It's, collectible Lennon, isn't it? Give peace a chance, instant karma, power to the people. Imagine, woman is the whatever gets through the night. Mind games, cold turkey, happy Christmas, war is over, mother, and number 9 dream. Love the cover, but you'd have to black that bit out at the minute, wouldn't you? Beatley Tone, don't worry. I'm going to be. I know what you're saying about that. I will be talking nonsense for at least 5 minutes after I've done this anyway. So you know you have got time. You want to type something, you have got time. So it should catch itself up. Like I say, Shaved Fish, as compilation albums go, probably one of the better ones that came out in the 70s. Sort of was done a little bit better on things like the John Lennon collection and Lennon Legend later on. But at the time, it was a cracking little album, to be honest. That's the back cover, front cover. Yeah, Beatle Bad. If you're having a bad time responding, it's because for some reason it's on slow mode or something. So you're probably seeing this 2 or 3 minutes after it's actually, although it's live, you're probably seeing it 2 or 3 minutes after I've actually done it. That makes sense. I didn't realise it was on. Honestly, I didn't realise it was on. So I will apologise to everybody that is trying to leave comments. So this is the label for Shaved Fish. Lovely sounding LP. And as greatest hits LPs go, it was what we had at the time. The only thing I sort of don't like about this album, which it's going to sound like it's a criticism, but it's not, is it's got an edited version of Give Peace a Chance at the beginning, which is, I mean, really, really edited. And then you've got like a snippet of a live version of Give Peace a Chance stuck on the end. So while we're just there, just give us 2 minutes, because then if anybody wants to type something, they can type it. I'm just going to look for another record, which I will show as well. Now what we've got. Excuse me. Now this, apparently, although this is a bootleg, so this isn't the real thing, Beatley Tone or Beatle Bad. This is a unofficial one because it's cut out there. But this is what rock and roll album was originally going to be. John Lennon sings the greatest rock and roll hits, it says there. But yeah, on here it says sings the great rock and roll hits. This is a bootleg, it's what it is, but you do get some slightly different versions. So you get Bebopaloola, Ain't That a Shame, Stand By Me, Sweet Little 16, Rip It Up, Angel Baby, Do You Want to Dance and You Can't Catch Me. On side 2 you get Bone Me Around You, Peg You See, Bring It On Home to Me, Slipping and Sliding, Be My Baby, Yeah Yeah, and Just Because. And if any of you out there are lucky enough to have an original copy of this, you're actually sitting on a gold mine. Even these bootlegs are quite hard to come by now. They're not impossible to find, but you know, they do come around from time to time. So that's what something like what the labels should have looked like. But just remember, this isn't in the box set. I've just showed you this to compare it with the rock and roll album. For some people moan about that album cover, but I think that album cover is a lot better than that one. Like I say, if any of you are lucky enough to have an original one of these, there is a few things, but the main one is if you've got John's shoulder, and this has been cut off, if you've got John's shoulder on it, you're virtually guaranteed to have an original. Virtually guaranteed to have an original. So there you go. That's my little dive into the John Lennon box set from 1981, which was actually just called John Lennon. And I think somewhere it said JLB. That's the Japanese version I've got, by the way. You check out on eBay how much they want for one of these. Now, the reason for doing this little video today was I've had a day off work, which I do from time to time, get days off. Don't bloody well seem like it, but yeah. And I was looking at the John Lennon signature box set, and I was thinking, oh, is there anything in there that I really need? Bearing in mind, I've got Double Fantasy and I've got Milk and Honey and things like that. So there's nothing that'd really be new, I don't think. Beatle Brad. Yeah, I know yours is the original one. That's why I showed you that one to like, so you could see some of the slight differences. But from afar, this still looks quite convincing, you know. And if you didn't know, you could be fooled by this. I wasn't. This was in a job lot that I paid next to nothing for, to be honest. So I know this wasn't an original. You know, I wish it was, but you know, we can dream, can't we? We can dream. It's the real one. I did it. Yes, and I know you did a video on it, mate. I did comment on it, didn't I? On your video. Beatle Tone, yeah, I'm with you. I love shaved fish. And it was actually one of the first solo albums I got when I got into like the Beatles. I don't know if it ever came out on CD, did it? Might have done, I don't know. I mean, I'm going back to like early 80s when I first got into the Beatles. So I think I've said this before. There was a budget label called MFP in the UK, and they did Rock and Roll Music Volume 1 and Rock and Roll Music Volume 2, which were the first two Beatles albums I ever bought just after Tom had died. And then I think I got Rubber Soul, and then I think I got Imagine or Shaved Fish, something like that. But it amazes me. I mean, I've been collecting Beatles records for over 40 years now. Yes, I know I don't look old enough to be, but I did start collecting records when I was young. Well, if you count before the Beatles, even longer than that, to be honest. I love records, vinyl, whatever you want to call it. These bits of plastic, I love them. You know, people laugh because I'll say, with a record, you've got a piece of art. This is like a piece of art on some albums, anyway. And if you've got things with it, like with that, you've got the words and everything. You know, you've got something to look at. You've got something to hold. You know, you've got something to treasure in one way. Sort of similar with CDs. Streaming, you don't get any of that, do you? Might be instant, you know. I mean, you think how many songs you can get on a mobile phone? Thousands and thousands of songs onto your mobile phone, or you know, through streaming device and stuff like that, but you never actually own it. And also the fun of owning a record, especially if you bought it second hand, is wondering sometimes like what the history of that record could be, who could have had it or owned it. And people always laugh at me as well, because I'll say vintage records. Yes, and these are vintage records because they're over 40 years old, even though these are reissues, and they do have a certain smell to them, which sounds daft, doesn't it? How can a record have a smell? But they do. Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed this little live stream, although it's not so little. I've just seen how long that this has been going on for. Next time, if you want me to do a live stream, and I'll advertise it before we do it, and then all you guys, if you want to come and make the comments in time with that, I'll have to remember to switch that slow. It must be set on slow mode. That's all I can think. Because I just put on, do a video, basically go live. Mr. Ellie Records, hello. Welcome to our little discussion, which we are having a bit of a discussion, aren't we? So yeah, would I recommend you buying this box set? Yeah. I didn't pay a lot for this, to be honest. I think I paid about £40. Looking on eBay this morning, they're getting quite rare, these are. The signature one, you can get them, they go for about £200 plus. These, especially if it's in good, I mean, my records are good, the box is crap. This box is absolutely crap. Really, it should be thrown away, but you know, it's part of the history of those records, isn't it? These go for more. Believe it or not, these go for more than the signature box set. The signature box set, some of you might be able to help me out here. I don't know if they're done from the original analog masters, or if they're done like from the CD masters, like they did with some of the Beatles LPs. Yeah. Right. Okay. Beatle Brad. Yeah, Beatle Brad. Right. I've just seen what you've put up there. You've put John Lennon box set sells for like silly money in America. This is what I'm just saying. This one, even in this condition, although I didn't pay it for it, would probably go for £100, probably a little bit more. If it's in better condition, the UK version goes for £200 to £300. This Japanese one, on the other hand, goes for around £500. But this has got everything with it. You get the posters, you get the booklet and everything with that. So if you've got £500 to spare, or £300 to £500 to spare, get this one. It doesn't sound any better than the UK version, to be honest, even though it is pressed in Japan. You know, it doesn't really sound any better than the UK versions. That's all I'll say. But like, I'm going back to that signature box set. Would I buy it if I could get it for the right price? Yeah. Would I pay £200 for it? I don't think I would, because, like I say, I've got everything here. It would be nice to have it to compare what that sounds like to these. Bear in mind, these are 1980 pressings, aren't they? Where the signature box set came out 2015, I think. Probably wrong. Beatley Tone, you just put I got a bargain. I think I did get a bargain, to be honest. Even got a bargain with that Japanese one. I didn't pay, I think I paid £100 for the Japanese one. I think off the top of my head, might not have even been that much. But like I say, it's all immaterial in one way, because if you want a record bad enough, you're going to buy it, aren't you? No matter how much it is, within reason. next time I do this, which will probably be not this weekend, probably the weekend after, I will try and notify you and say I'm going to do a live broadcast or live video, or live stream or whatever you want to call it, and then hopefully we can talk in real time. Then, like I say, I will apologise. I didn't know that slow mode was on, so please forgive me, everybody. Please forgive me. Thank you to everybody that has been leaving comments, especially for today. You know, I've actually really enjoyed doing this, and the interaction has been fantastic. I'm just sorry that I left the slow mode on, but hey ho, I'm still learning. Can't get everything right, can I? I've probably made loads of mistakes in this, to be honest. So I'm going to leave it now. So once again, thank you to everybody that has left comments on this. I've really enjoyed it. So thank you to Beatle, Brad, Beatley Tone, M. Who else has left comments? Had quite a good little discussion, haven't we? Gary. You know, if you've left me comments today, thank you very much. If you're watching this later on, like later today, or that's froze up then. If you're watching this later on or something, you know, and you want to leave a comment, please do. I will try and get back. If I don't always answer everyone, but I'll at least leave you a like, a thumbs up, or a heart. As always, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I've just hit, well, a couple of days ago, I actually hit 500 subscribers. 500 subscribers, which is actually amazing for a little channel like mine. So come on, guys, bear with me. Tell your friends. Let's try and get up to 6. Or let's try and get up to 1,000. I don't know. You know, so thank you to everybody that is subscribing, leaving comments, leaving me likes, and don't forget to hit that notification button. Then you'll get notifications when we are doing new videos. So once again, thank you to everybody that has joined in with this today. I didn't actually realise this would be as popular as it is. So next time, I will tell you. I'm going to do a live stream at so-and-so time on a so-and-so day, and then we can all get together and have some fun. Right, so until the next time, I'm going to say ta-ra for now. I'm back at work tomorrow, and I've got 6 days of doing 12-hour shifts. But then I've got a few days off after that. So, like I say, you probably won't get another video now till probably next Thursday, maybe. Yeah, probably next Thursday. So until then, peace, love and happiness to you, or whatever you're doing, stay safe. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and just remember, you're the beat in Beatle Dave. All of you, you know, without you there wouldn't be this channel, and I'd be bored, and I wouldn't know what to do, would I? So until the next time, love and peace to you all. Remember, Beatle Dave loves you all. Bye.